I now call this regular meeting of the Davenport Community School Board of Directors to order. Board priorities. Director Beck, would you please read the board priorities?
Yes. Computer closed. Sorry, my computer closed.
Yeah, you bet. You got it though.
You're in?
The Davenport School Board establishes the following priorities to ensure the academic success of all students. Provide leadership and direction to improve the overall learning environment in our classrooms, schools, and district, including health, safety, security, and happiness of students and staff. Direct and support actions, programs, and activities which reduce the impacts of poverty on our students, their families, and our community.
Director Potts, would you please read the mission and vision statements?
Mission statement: enhance each student's abilities by providing a quality education enriched by our diverse community. Our vision statement: education that challenges conventional thinking, prepares all students to compete in a global society, and inspires our students, parents, staff, and community to answer the question, what if?
Thank you both.
Thank you.
We will now hold a public hearing, or we will now conduct a public hearing on the 2020-21 budget amendment. A copy of the amendment was published in the Quad City Times on April 1st, 2021. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please step forward to the microphone. State your name and address for the record. Seeing and hearing none, I now declare the public hearing closed. All right, we'll move on to, make a motion.
There's another public hearing
Is there?
for the budget adoption.
Oh, never mind, I apologize. There's another public hearing. I will now conduct a public hearing on the FY 2022 budget. A copy of the proposed budget summary for FY 2021-22 was published in the Quad City Times on April 1st, 2021. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please step forward to the microphone or call 563-445-5001 and enter conference ID 723-7805. State your name and address for the record. Seeing and hearing none, I now declare the public hearing closed. Now I think I hit them all. We will move on to a presentation for the CT and student-built home.
Thank you. So
Superintendent Schneckloff.
tonight we have Jen Boyd in a team, and Jen, I'm going to let you introduce your team that's with you today. But Jen Boyd is our curriculum specialist in the area of CTE. We have some very exciting things going on, but one of the things that we want to highlight tonight is our long-standing, excellent student-built home program. And so I believe there's some materials in front of you, and we have our teachers that are here with us today. And I'm very proud to say that the two teachers that are here with us today have a huge influence on my life. I know it's very special for me to see the two of you here and promoting this program. And so, Jen, with that being said, go ahead and take us away on this presentation. And thank you for being here tonight, everybody that's associated with this program.
All right, and everyone that is here with us is actually going to get a chance to speak. So we have some students and some parents. Our instructor, Craig Peckenschneider, he will answer questions if you have them for him later. And Lynn Figg, who is actually a retired Davenport career tech teacher who has come back just to continue to support the program. So she's been on site, she's here, she's going to help with some field trips that we're working on to get students out there. So I appreciate all of you guys being here. All right. Okay, so career and technical education helps prepare students for a wide range of high-wage, high-skill, high-demand careers, one of which is in the construction trades. There's a lot of benefits for career and tech ed. All of our programs have college credit associated. A lot of them end in industry-recognized certifications. They embed work-based learning where students actually get to go onto the job site to really understand what the careers are like. They have competitions where students get to apply what they've learned in the classroom in competitive ways. Scholarships associated, some of which are with our student built home that we'll tell you a little bit about tonight. They're hands-on classes. We actually find some of our students love their CTE classes so much. They definitely come to school for those, but sometimes they struggle to come to school for some of their other classes. So the kids enjoy those. In addition, professional skills are embedded. We all know when we get our community partners around, the biggest thing that they want from students are kids that are work ready, right? Ready to come to work, put their cell phone away, problem solve, and be able to function. And so all of our programs have a piece of that in it. And again, high engagement, relevant learning. There's a lot of data out there to support how career tech programs actually help with graduation rates, help with student engagement in school, because they see the value of what they're learning and what they're doing. In Davenport, we do have 14 different career tech programs, one of which is construction, which we are highlighting today. But all of them, you can see that they're in different career areas and different clusters, and we have quite a big variety. All of our programs do have a recommended sequence of courses. So students, when they're coming in, they know exactly which courses they're aiming to take, in what order. All of those courses build upon each other so that those students are really building their skill set as they get towards their senior year and post-graduation. So this is our construction program here. We've got Wood Tech 1 and 2, their freshman year. Year 2, we recommend Construction Tech 1 and 2. Year 3 is Construction Tech 3. And then year 4 is the Student Built Home, which is 2 blocks for the entire year. So it's half of their day, essentially, and they build a house from beginning to end. One of the big things that we are doing in Davenport schools is we're having conversations with students about their futures, and we're kind of shifting the conversation. It's not college or not. If you're in CTE, it doesn't mean that you are not destined for college. What it means is that you understand something that you like, that you're passionate about, that you enjoy doing, and then you can figure out where you're going with that. You can get right out of high school and be ready for careers. You can do, an AA degree or some specialized training and have access to certain careers. Or you can also do the 4-year degree program and have access to careers that are associated with the area that students are interested in. A big piece of what we do are build in these career experiences. So we start exposing students to these different fields very early on. And you can see that we kind of have a tier. So students move through this pipeline as they move through the program. So by the time they get to their senior year or their junior year, they are ready for training experiences, including internships and apprenticeships, which really the Student Built Home would be similar to that sort of a setup. And there's some of our fun pictures. All right, so we're going to talk to you guys about the Student Built Home, the construction program capstone. So this is what our students do after they move through our construction program. And John Yoakum is going to talk to you about kind of how this program got started.
Thank you for letting me be here this evening and talk about this program. As you can see, we started this way back in '98, and the brochure that I made for you, just a little bit about the program. The history, it was something that was sponsored by the Realtor Association, and it was the Greater Davenport Board of Realtors back in the 70s and 80s. The program hit a low spot when our economy around here kind of went south, and a realtor by the name of Paul Carroll invested that money, and that money, because interest rates on investments was very good, that money monopolized and got larger and larger. And we used that money to start the program over again. And we brought in, at that time, we were working with the Davenport School District and all 3 high schools, and then North Scott was on board with us to get the thing rolling. It has now matured. We're going into 22 years, 23 years going on this, and we built 30 plus homes. And it's been very rewarding, I think, from the standpoint, and I'm president of the Building and Trades Projects, Inc., which is our nonprofit corporation. The money we get when we sell the home goes for scholarships. We give anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 away in scholarships to the students. We buy tools that are necessary every year. Unfortunately, we have to buy tools that wear out. We have to replace them. We want to have safety first. So safety, the high safety volume of tools and everything is major important. Then we also buy a set of hand tools for the students that they get to keep. as part of a reward for finishing the program. And I think that's huge, just because they get something for what they've invested their time into. You can see the 3 of the homes that we built in the last 3 years. Very, very nice homes. This year's home is on the market at $350,000. It's extra large 2-car garage, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It's a dynamite home. I recommend you all to go out and see it at 1612 Rylander Court in West Davenport. Excellent build, excellent house. It's really starting to take shape, and we're hopefully get some newer pictures of it. And then the one next door is the one we built last year. And that was built for a couple that believed in the program enough that they wanted the students to build it for them. Of course, we all know what happened last year. At the end of last year, we were 90% plus finished, and then COVID hit, and we had to do a lot of extra work without the students, and it was really missed. The students are very needed in this program. So I don't know how you want to move on from here.
So just as a background, I know, President Gosa, you work in the field, and you know that right now the skilled trade industry is facing a crisis. We have a lot of the baby boomers retiring that have filled these positions, and there aren't a lot of people coming in that have these qualified skills. And so, programs like this, and with all of our CTE programs, are critical right now in our economy, especially here in the Quad Cities. So there's an opportunity within this program to help our community, to help our students, to help, kind of everybody have success.
As you can see there, the Building and Trades is our corporation, sponsored by the Quad City Area Realtors. And then we work hand in hand with area contractors and the Home Builders Association. The home builders are a big catalyst for us because they let the suppliers and vendors that are members of the Home Builders Association know that we want to work with them. And sometimes they give us a little bit of a discount on some of our product whenever they can. And that's a benefit to us, and it's a benefit to the program, because we turn that money back in. We want to give, the more money we can give back to the students, the better. So, and that's what it's all about, and giving scholarship money. And that's pretty much what our partnership role is with this. You guys are partners with us, and I think that goes on to the next one, is you supply us the students. You supply Craig as Craig Peck-Snyder is our instructor. Lynn is a great support and great help. And then, of course, you guys, we need the students to come in and fulfill the program. This year, we're a little, and I spoke at I'm a member of the LISAC, whatever it's called, committee. And that's one of the things, we don't have the students this year because of what happened last year. And I think it's just a bump in the road, and that's okay. We're still completing the program. The students do a hell of a job. That's the only way to put it. They do a great job. So with that,
Hi, I'm Lynn Figg. Like Jen said, I was retired last year after 35 years in the CTE program. This program is very good for our students. They come in, the foundation is done. When they come in, right now you see that their setting is still on there. So they basically take it from the rest of the way up. They learn the rough carpentry, they learn finish trade, they work with the electricians, the plumbers, all of our side contractors that come in. They work with them hand in hand to learn those skills. And we've had a lot of students that go into HVAC, or we've had some students that it's like flooring. This is really, I like doing this flooring stuff. We've had several look at electrical, the electricians. So and they also get life skills. It's not just building the house that they learn, it's about being a good product for our community, how to manage stuff, and Mr. Peck-Snyder does a very good job of teaching them those life skills that they need to go out on the job site. It's not like being in a classroom. It's a real world out there, and that's what we want to have them understand. If you miss class, in a regular classroom, you can get the notes from somebody, or you can redo this. If you miss a day at the house, you might put something behind. You got to be there just like it'd be in a real world setting. So that's our ultimate goal with this program.
As I mentioned, scholarships are a major piece of this. You know, all of our students can, benefit from getting some extra support as they move on past high school. And so in 1920, 6 of our students actually got $9,000 in scholarships. They can use these for a lot of different things. It can be for tuition, living expenses, tools, or even offsetting costs for those employers during their first year of on the job. I have listed there some of our former students' placements. A lot of the questions are, well, if all these kids have gone through, what are they doing now? And what you'll see is that there are so many, and that was not even an updated list. That is not everybody. But our students are in the industry. They are out there. They're using what they got from this program, and they are feeding this pipeline, which was the ultimate goal of the program. So we've got some special guests here today to chat with you. We have 2 of our students who are on the crew this year, and then we also have 2 of our parents that are supporting. So they're going to come through. They can introduce themselves, let us know where you go to school, and then they're going to give you their perspective as a student.
Hello, my name is Colton Fogelsong. I go to North High School, and I'm here to tell you about my experience in the 2021 school board or student bill home program. I first wanted to begin by thanking Boyd and Mr. Craig Peckenschneider for the opportunities they've given me throughout this year. It's been highly incredible. I first wanted to start off with the experience has been like for me. It's been incredibly rewarding. CTE programs in general, I didn't even know about them until I came to high school, and ever since I've been participating in them. From Construction 1, welding, other things like metals class, those are classes that I like, and it was really a strange time for me in high school, mainly because I like working with my hands. I like being hands-on. I like getting to build. And I also had this part of me that was like, I want to go to college though. And I wasn't sure if college was for me or something that my family wanted, something that was expected of me as a high schooler. What comes after high school? If I don't do college, do I fail in life? I mean, that was something that was playing in my mind. And doing the Student Build Home program has absolutely changed that for me. I am deciding to go to college after taking this program, but without this program, I don't know if I would be able to make that decision. I think I still would have had, am I making the wrong choice going to college when I'm in college? If I went to a trade, am I making the wrong decision about going to a trade? And for me, it has very much strengthened my opinion of college and the trades and where I want to go after high school. How it helps my career goals. Understanding how a structure is made, the reasoning behind the things that we do, it helps me create other structures when I do draw. With that being said, I have done some work on the side. I've had a little startup company come ask me if I can do some designs for a pergola in someone's backyard. And I was like, absolutely, no problem. And I did that. And knowing where things go, how things connect, knowing how those pieces come together at the end of the day helped me build a much better project, and they were astounded with what I could do. I was astounded with what I could do, and I couldn't have done that without this program. Thank you.
My name is Hunter Relk. I'm currently working with the 2021 house with Craig Peckenschneider, and it's a great program. I honestly think more kids should be doing it, and I've been telling the younger kids in my junior class at West High School to be doing it, and it doesn't matter who's doing it from other schools. You can always be making new friends or meeting new people, and it's a hell of an experience. I'll say that. It's something you don't always get to see. I mean, I got family in Chicago, and they don't even get to experience something like this or a program close to this. And you got a great teacher. He always tells you what to do. He's always pushing you to, fix your problems, fix this, fix that, fix this. It's all about perfection and doing the things right. And the little things matter in life, and that's what he teaches you. It's not always about construction. It's also about life and what you learn. And I feel like the program really helped me out become a more experienced and valuable worker with the trades. And I currently pour concrete with my dad over there, and I love doing that, and I love like building my knowledge of trades and hands-on learning, like Colton said. It's a great thing. I think this program is a wonderful thing for kids to do, and as they get older, I can use this personally with when I get a house, I can keep maintenance on the house. I can always, you know, if I need something done, I can do it, or if my sister needs something done, I can always go to her house and do it. I'm always finding something to do, and I can use this trade usefully and be valuable to other people. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Scott Relk. My son, Hunter Relk, went through this project, and I wish this project was going when I was back in school, to where I see him come home every day, and he is like so excited to tell us what he did each day. And I'm actually excited. We've been in business 42 years, and we do concrete, road construction, and I'm excited to come home to actually talk to him and see what he's learned, and he can't wait to see me to tell me what he's did each day, and it's just neat where I'm 53, and every day he came home, I was learning stuff myself. You know, I'm like, what? Now, what's that called? Now, where's this at? And he's pointing in our house, and this is this, and this is this. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I never knew that, you know. And with us, we built a new home this last year, and it ended in winter, just before winter, thank goodness. And through us building our house, me talking to all of our contractors, our siding contractor, our drywall contractor, our framing contractor, and me being proud that my son is in this program, telling them, yeah, my kid's doing this, and I'm learning all this stuff, and each and every one of them contractors, knowing that he went through this program, they were just amazed. They're like, really? And, a lot of them didn't even know that this program even existed. And, and I'm like, yes. I go, it's so cool. I'm learning so much stuff, and he's teaching me. And, and they're all like, well, once your son graduates, the siding guy, the framer, the drywaller, they're like, once your son graduates, knowing that he took this course, hands down, no questions asked, I'll hire him. I'll hire him, and I'll hire him. So this project opened up 3 doors for him, whatever direction he would want to go, which is simply amazing. Me being a business owner, I don't know, it's been 3 years since we've actually had anybody walk through the door to ask for a job to do concrete, to where it's just like tough getting anybody to even come in and ask for a job. And I thought it was totally impressive that him doing this project, man, 3 doors opened up, and he can pick what direction he wants to go and no questions asked, where, I don't know, I really think this is the neatest program, and if we can get more kids involved in this, to where, our trades right now just need workers and need kids, young generation, to get in here and get after it, to where, I don't know, I think this project's the neatest thing, and I wish it was going when I was younger, and I'm so proud that my kid could go through this. So I hope everybody keeps it going. It's awesome for the Quad Cities. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Kreitz. I'm Colton's mom. I'm not only a teacher in the district, I'm a huge advocate for this program. Some of the same things that Scott was saying. It's been so great to have Colton come home and teach us all of these things. Although occasionally he'll say, well, Mr. Peck wouldn't want you to do it that way. that's not how it's done. So we just kind of let him do what Mr. Peck has taught him, and we get some really great things done around the house from all the things that he's learned. But I did want to thank the district. This is a fabulous program. I really hope it continues and that we invest more in it. Thanks to Jen for encouraging these kids. Colton has known Jen since middle school and has learned different things from her, and is just always excited when she's coming around because he's learning something new that's going on in the district. And a huge thank you to Mr. Peck again. He's got these kids through a pandemic and crazy temperatures, and they're learning so much, and it's just really, really impressive. And again, what Scott was saying, I mean, how many people wish that when they were a kid that you could go, I mean, whether you want to be a hairstylist or whatever you want to do, if you just had that opportunity to be able to see if you wanted to do that or not, I mean, what difference it could make in your, your future career. As far as what Colton was saying, he, for the last 4 years, was teetering on whether he wanted to go to architecture school or whether he wanted to be a builder. And I think this opportunity has even opened up bigger doors for him, because now, he has decided that he loves the construction part, but he still wants to go to school and get that architecture degree. But he has still said that, someday he may still want to design the house and then go and build it, which I think is amazing. And he would never know that had he not had this program. And again, he can come to my house when I'm much older and, build things for me, which is, again, even better. But congratulations to this district for another great program that they're doing for kids in this district, and I hope to see it continue. Thank you.
All right. Pretty awesome, I think, perspectives from a lot of different folks. So we are happy to answer any questions. We do have some upcoming dates that I'll make sure to send to you all so that you get the details. But we do have on April 19th our Quad City-wide high school registered apprenticeship signing day at the waterfront. I believe you've all gotten the invitation for that. So that's a pretty exciting event. On April 20th, we have a QC call to action virtual event. That will be, you can see the tiny URL there. You jump on. Mark Perna is going to speak to us about the opportunity for workforce development and education to come together to really address the needs here in our Quad City area. On May 6th, we're going to take some of our prospective student-built home crew for the 21-22 year out to the house to check it out, meet Mr. Peckenschneider, and then the students all will give them tours around. So any of you that want to join us on that, you're welcome to. It's always entertaining to listen to Peck talk to the upcoming students and watch their faces as they get terrified. On May 26th, we will have an open house for all of our district stakeholders. And then on May 27th will be the official end of the year celebration where scholarships will be awarded, the students will be celebrated, and the home will be completed and hopefully sold. So we're happy to answer any questions, and we can kind of just figure out who's got the best answer.
Director Beck.
So I first heard about this program about 2 years ago, and I went to the open house, and it was fascinating. But I really appreciate you all coming in and talking to us about your personal experiences. I wish I could take something like this, because as a homeowner, I wish that I could do all the work that I have to call somebody to do. But it's such a fantastic program. And Colton, I really appreciate, there you are back there, what you talked about, saying it helped you solidify your decision. And it's not that it's one or the other. And that really is what I think we hope to emphasize as a district, is that trades does not mean no college, and college does not mean no trades. You can do both of those things, and it really can help you decide what you want to do with your life. And for some people, it may be the driver may be getting a job. And the fact that you have 3 job opportunities directly out of high school is incredible and fantastic. And I'm so happy for you. But if somebody chooses to go to college or work for a while and save up for college, I mean, the opportunities are endless. So it's really a great program. And Mr. Yoakum, thank you for bringing it up at the LSEAC meeting, because it was a chance, it reminded me what a fantastic program this was, and to ask for this presentation. For students that might see this, or parents who hear about this and have students that they think might be interested, can students still apply to participate? And what is the maximum number of students you could accommodate? What grade levels, that kind of thing?
I'll take Mr. Peckenschneider doesn't want to talk. So students can absolutely apply. In the course guide, it's listed, and there's an application directly linked on there, which can be found on the website. Counselors all know about this, and they do also have access to that, so a student can do that. You can always email me or Mr. Peckenschneider. He might not get back to you very quickly, but any questions, you can always reach out to us. But yes, we are still actively recruiting. We don't, the next group won't start until August when the new home is ready to go, and so we recruit all through the summer. The total crew that we feel can be done safely to build the house is 8 in the morning and 8 in the afternoon. So 16 is the load that we're aiming for. We are going to develop a wait list this year. So in case we have anybody that tries it out and it's not the right fit within the first couple of weeks of school, we can have somebody else step in. But that's the model.
Okay, thank you.
Director Snyder.
First off, I've got one question for Craig. I've been to a number of the houses you've built with the kids. How many homes have you been involved with now?
Just for the student-built home or me personally?
Student-built home.
About 20. I did 10 and left for a few years and came back.
That's remarkable. Thank you very much. For the students, that's a skill set you have that you will always have, no matter what you do in life. And when you have that skill set, you will never, ever be without work. There is a massive shortage in all trades right now. There's just no young people coming up that want to get in the trades. And I don't know if it's that they have college pounded into them. And college isn't for everybody. But you can make a very, very good living in the trades. And even if you go to college and do something else with it, the amount of money you can save just by doing projects yourself at your home, you will always, once you start thinking like somebody who has construction skills, you will always think like somebody who has construction skills. And there's a lot of people that are very envious of those people. My question to either Colton or Hunter would be, what is the most important thing you think you got out of this program? In fact, I'd like to hear from both of you if you would.
For me, like I had said, understanding that there's more after high school than college. That was one of the most important things to me that I got from this program. And understanding that there are so many opportunities out there for students other than college and how great those can be. We met so many incredible contractors and stuff like that. I mean, you get this kind of stereotype from like plumbers and stuff like that and electricians, but they are genuinely some of the kindest, hardest working people that I've ever met. And getting to work alongside them through this program has really taught me how much craftsmanship and determination is as far as building a home goes, and even in life in general.
I would think that it's probably that not only life gets hard, but like work gets hard. Like Peck could be upset that I put the wood in the wrong spot or something simple. It could be anything. And you just capitalize on it, fix it, and you just go back to work. It's not always like get down on yourself, have a pity party, whatever. You always improve yourself, and then the next time that you get back to it, you already know what you're doing, and you don't have to fix the problem because you already fixed it before. It's just fixing the little things, and the little things matter in life, and I think that's the most valuable thing about the program. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I've seen a number of those homes, and I would put the craftsmanship up against anything out there.
Do any other board members have questions? Director Beck.
I have one more, and this is actually for Jen. So one of the things that I'm always asking about is how do we improve the diversity in the students that we're recruiting for programs like this? And so I guess my question would be, how do we recruit students for this? And target students who may not think that this is something that they could or would want to do. Even I know we're starting in middle school now, and that's fantastic to give kids the idea that this is something maybe they might want to do. But so what do you see sort of, it fits in with our larger picture of making sure that we include everyone?
Yeah, so it's about, a lot of times in the past, do you have something to add, Lynn? You want to come up? A lot of times in the past it was kind of teacher-based. The teachers would kind of talk to students and recruit, and we've tried to go with a bigger lens now, and we talk to all the students that are in the programs. We start doing the field trips. When it's not COVID world, we take all of our entry-level construction trades programs, all those kids out to tour the house as it's in progress. And then those that are interested, we take them closer towards the end to explore it again. And so just exposing all of the students to it that might have even a little bit of that interest. In addition, we used to have some rules about being part of the program. There was a piece about having your own transportation or having to buy your own boots. And what we found is that sometimes some students would just opt out of it because they didn't have access to that. And so we've put in the application now, it says, do you have transportation? Are you able to provide your own boots? And actually, per paucity, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Jake, but actually got a pair of boots for one of our students this year, right off the bat, to make it accessible for that student. And so small pieces like that, and as we continue to grow our recruitment, and as our current program students are sophomores, so next year they'll be juniors, and then we'll be, but just more and more exposure.
Yeah, Jen hit on the one thing was the transportation was a big issue, and now I think the district has kind of seen that, and so that'll help out a lot. And when I was in the building, I would always strongly suggest that the kids that were in the program go talk to the underclassmen. I said, talk to your best friend, talk to the guy that you play basketball with, talk to the girls. We've had several girls in, and we've had one, what's Chava doing now? Is she electrical? So we had a female student last year, she's in electrical. So, we're getting there. It's hard. And a lot of times some of the kids that we feel would be a good connect, they screwed up their freshman and sophomore year, so they don't have the flexibility to take the classes their senior year because they're playing catch up. So that, we have great candidates that would be great out in the field, but they can't do it because what they did their freshman year, because junior high, it's like, oh, I can get by with that. I don't have to worry about that. It'll be fine. High school, it's a different bird. And until they figure that out, and I think it's helped that we've been talking to lower classes now and getting that word out there too. It's a work in progress. I started doing this in 2008 when I moved to the high school, and I've seen the growth the entire time. Like I said, last year was a big hiccup. So our recruitment didn't happen, because usually I start looking at all the numbers. I would contact the schools, get stuff. In March, when we come back from spring break, we never came back. So that was a big problem. So we were trying to call kids and email kids, and it was just, so I'm hoping that next year will be like the year before. Our year before was a fantastic group of kids. And we had 2 girls in that class. We had several minorities in that class. So it is becoming diversified.
Okay, thank you.
Director Hayes.
My question is both for Lynn and Jen. You had mentioned that the foundation was already laid when the students started. Is there any reason that they didn't assist with the foundation?
It's a lot of work.
That's not mine.
Okay.
Somebody else's.
The reasoning is this is a house we have to build and complete by the end of the school year. I consider I have 2 jobs. I'm the instructor, but I'm also working for the Quad City home builders and realtors to get this project completed. If it's not completed, in my opinion, then I have to finish it, because that's my job, that's my contract to do. So time-wise, if we don't have the foundation in, we don't have enough time to do the build.
Okay, thank you.
They'll do concrete work though.
they still do the flat work and stuff like that. So they still do the driveway, sidewalks, the basement. And we've had it where the foundation is put in late, so they get to help do the labor as far as taking down the forms for the foundation. So they get to see sometimes, but I'd prefer that it's done and completed before we start.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Lynn, I like when you mentioned that they're held accountable. If you don't show up, then you put someone else behind. So that's an important tool to learn early on to get this house done. And it may set the standard for later in life that if you're going to do something, you need to show up. My last question was, how many college credits do they get towards this program if they choose to go forward?
They get 6 for the first half of the year and 6 the second half, for a total of 12.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Director Klein Jerome.
How do you decide what site or what address you're going to be building on? And is that land donated, or how do you come by that?
That is done by the Quad City Building Trades, Inc. They're the ones that provide the financing for all the land, material, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
The Building and Trades Corporation takes care of purchasing, locating the lot, purchasing all the materials that are necessary to build the house. So we take care of that. That is the burden that's on the Building and Trades, which is a realtor-based corporation. And we take care of all that information. We take care of that, so Craig can deal with making sure. He's a big help in lining up to make sure the contractors and suppliers get to the project, so we can keep things moving along. Our job, my job as president of the Building and Trades Project Inc., is to make sure we have everybody lined up that's going to bring all the materials. We pick a job site. We've got several sites that we're looking at, but we are also we want to build an affordable house. We are at the top end of what we normally build this year, but that's because material costs are what they are. Next year, we'll probably be in the same vicinity, somewhere out there, just because that's where the lots are available. And because of the price of materials have gone up, we're probably going to scale back the house. And we're going to come up with a different design we're still teaching these kids how to build a full house from start to finish. Yes, and you're right, they don't get to see all the concrete work that's done with the foundation, because we got to keep things moving along. And that's main, first and foremost. And we'd love to build it as a pre-sold, but that happens at once every 10 years, it seems like. But we've sold several of them before they were completed. And it wouldn't surprise me that yet we'll have a deal before the house is done. We also have to be careful, because we have to select our materials. And we've done it a couple years where a buyer came in when we weren't quite completely done, and they wanted to change some of pick out some different colors and stuff, and cabinetry and different things. Made it very difficult, because then we got on the back order, and we couldn't get the house done on time. So we have to watch that stuff. If we start from start to finish, then we already know going in what's happening. But if somebody goes halfway through the year, and now we're picking out new materials, it makes it a little more difficult, more challenging. I'm not saying we can't do it, just another challenge. We love challenges, to a point.
Any other questions? I want to thank you all for coming and doing this presentation, especially the 2 students that spoke and the parents. I appreciate that. And good for you for helping your dad with concrete work, because that's probably some of the hardest work I've ever done. I've been in the construction industry for 18 years now, and I actually used to build houses with Mr. Peckenschneider way back in the day. You couldn't ask for a better instructor. Great guy, was always a great guy to work with. And just in the construction industry alone, in the next 5 years, we're like 15,000 workers short. And I mean, I'm no spring chicken anymore. I've been doing it long enough, but I'm always looking for the next guy to come in and replace me. It's great skills to learn. You'd be amazed at how many people call you to do little things that, they could do themselves if they really watched the YouTube video and put a little effort into it. But I make a lot of money on that, so I don't discredit that at all. But again, this is a great program. And with the foundations, it's probably good for them to learn because they're not always square. So it's a good way to learn how to square up the house on a not so square foundation, which we used to do that a lot. So it's good practice to learn, especially doing it from start to finish. So, and I'm glad to hear you guys are doing the flat work and everything like that. And then I'm assuming with the subcontractors, they just kind of work with them a little bit and like the plumbing and electrical and all that. Maybe they run the wires for them and stuff. Otherwise, did you have anything you wanted to add, Superintendent Schneckler?
Yes, I would. I think the times are really tough, but nothing is more invigorating than listening to our students come up and talk so beautifully, so intelligently, and so passionately. And it is so appreciated. You know, oftentimes adults wonder, is the world going to be okay? And listening to our students that we have here and our students that spoke today, I'm 100% sure that the world is going to be okay, because we have students like you that are getting ready to take over the torch for you, whether it be a family company or making yourself have a competitive advantage, as Miss Boyd is teaching me, so that when you do decide what you want to be, you have a competitive advantage, whether it be a contractor noticing the skills that you have, or hired as own your own firm and say, give me that torch and let me show you how it's done. Nothing will surprise somebody more than when a manager knows exactly whatever it is that they're working on. And I want to thank you so much for your work behind the scenes. This stuff does not happen without the material showing up on time. And so just want to give a big thank you to you for that. And this is incredibly important to us. And obviously our teachers in Jen Boyd, who are incredible at what they do to help move our outcomes forward with our students. Jen, I'd like to, for a
I just
future
want to
note.
thank you for giving us the opportunity, because this is something that, knowing that you know what we're here talking about will make a difference as I think as things go along too, because eventually I will not be with the program. Somebody else will be taking over my shoes. Craig will be here forever. He'll never leave, but he might leave someday, and then they'll have to find somebody to fill his shoes as well. And Lynn too. I mean, we're all cogs that all fit together. So we do need you guys' support, and we appreciate that. And thank you for letting us come here and talk to you.
Thank you, John. Jen, I would like to put a note in to discuss the career trees. I think our career trees are something that our board members could get behind, see, understand, conversations with, the competitive advantage. You know, what's at the base, what are the possibilities? So let's make a note of that in the future. But again, thanks to everybody that came to present. It was wonderful hearing from parents and students, and the direction that our CTE programs are going are second to none. So thank you guys very much. Much appreciated.
I'll echo that as well. And students, just remember this. Every bit of knowledge you learn, that's another tool in your bucket. Every extra tool in your bucket you have means you're worth more money. You're more valuable. Never lose sight of that, and always remember that. Always be willing to learn more, because that guy or gal that doesn't want to learn more, you're always going to have a leg up on them, always. With that, I thank you all for this presentation very much, and we will move on to student board reports. Mr. Superintendent.
Go ahead and start us off, Kate.
Awesome. I just want to echo that. That was awesome. So thank you so much for that. I know that I've worked with Colton personally a lot in our shop building sets. I'm a drama kid, so I'm not hands-on at all. I can barely tell a screw from a nail. And he always has a plan, always hands-on. It's like, no, you got to do it this way. It's like, you take the lead. You're the expert. So I'm completely confident that the skills throughout all of these CTE programs can transfer through not only into later careers, but across disciplines. So it's in the arts, academics, the arts, and athletics. You know, it's on the wall. It's everywhere, you know. So I just want to echo that and thank you for that presentation. And then into the board report. So I mentioned at the last time I was here that I would give just a little brief on how online education was going for me. And I just want to say, just through like the Edgenuity program, as somebody that's been in school and online, I think that the Edgenuity is, I'm taking pre-calc, is clear, to the point. I think the videos, you have to like click, so it keeps you on the screen. So like you have to keep moving on. You have to stay with it in order to move on. And then I added, while it may not align fully just in what I've communicated with other students in the pre-calc class, I think that it's still a well-paced course, and you're still getting roughly the same amount of information. I mean, I still hold like it would be good for North instructors, like more on, like with like North instructor like video, like that would be good. But overall, I like Edgenuity. Thumbs up. And then moving on, prom, student body, glad prom is happening this year. That's always a plus, especially for senior students. And then for North, that is still scheduled for May 1st from 7 to 10 p.m. And then moving on, I read the district statement on their website on the House Study Bill 64 or HSB 64. And I read the text of the bill. It's a real page turner if you guys want to read it. Yeah, I know. It's really only about 3 pages if you guys are inclined to read it. But I supported the district statement coming out against it because I feel like as a student, even as an online student, I get the opportunity to participate in class discussions. And I feel like the bill moving through the legislature threatens the diverse perspectives that learning in like a collaborative space brings to the table, especially at our district. And I feel like this bill flies in contrast to the mission and vision statements that were read at the beginning of the meeting. So that is, I just wanted to voice as a student that I supported that statement that was released on the website. And then speaking of the website, I noticed the website revamps that happened. So I want to say those were long overdue, and thank you to whoever led those website revamps. We are all very appreciative as students. It's really nice to see everything flowing, and they're all uniform. It looks great. And that concludes my student report.
Just one thing from Central tonight. We officially renamed the track for Ira Dunsworth, like a week ago, sometime then. I know there was a presentation here about a month ago that I saw that the staff gave on renaming the track for him. He was a legendary track coach here at Central, did a lot of good things. It was nice to see a few board members out at the actual ceremony, and Mr. Flynn wanted me to personally thank you guys for showing up to that. It means a lot to the school, the track program, athletics in general, and yeah, we're glad we finally officially did that for him.
Well, to start, the switch from hybrid to 100% in person, personally, I think that's been going relatively well for West. Sports like track and tennis have begun recently, and I think track just had their first meet. It went well from what I heard. And clubs are running pretty smoothly so far. We do have a few events coming up for West, like our concerts for band and orchestra. Both are recording their pieces for, I think it's called, I forgot what it's called, but it's, yeah. But they're recording that next week, and they've been practicing that really well for a long time so far. So I know that a lot of them are looking forward to that. And also orchestra, I know they've been practicing for their tailgate concert in May. And band has been practicing their 6 pieces, it's been long, for their June concert. And then also some events for seniors that I know a lot of them have been looking forward to were senior picnics. And then the prom, which has been the talk of the town. So I know that for prom, they've sent a few emails out that we are following the district guidelines with masks. And since it is at the Mississippi with the 30% capacity policy. And then I just wanted to mention too, that West has been making a lot of effort to get students to experience what their future jobs would be like. For example, while we were online, I got the opportunity to help kindergartners who were having difficulties with the online. And I do want to be a teacher, so that helped me a lot to see what that would be like. And then also coming up, like what was mentioned for CTE on April 19th, a lot of students are going to the apprenticeship. And out of the 52 kids, I think it's over 50% are from West, which is something that I think is worth bragging about. And then for the ISAP, I heard that it's 52% of students have already completed it. And I'm not sure what the numbers were before this year, but I think that's a relatively good good number since it has been a mess this year. So, yeah.
Thank you again. It's so wonderful to hear the reports from our students. So thank you guys for coming and being so prepared today.
Yes, thank you, student board members. We greatly appreciate it. On to board reports. Are there any board reports? Director Hayes.
I'd just like to express the condolence from the board for several families that have lost loved ones since our last meeting. First one would be a Perkins family, which was a student at Central at some point, the Terrell family, the Walker family, which was a Davenport police officer, and also to our superintendent, Snetcloth and Christner family. And the board would like to express our deepest condolence.
Thank you, Director Hayes. Are there any other board reports? Director Poston.
I was able to make a few more visits to our school buildings. And first of all, I'd like to thank the principals, Jackson Elementary, Principal Becken, Wilson Elementary, Principal Larson, Jefferson Elementary, Principal Montoya, Buchanan Elementary Principal, Principal Ivory, Mid-City High School, Principal Weipert, Garfield Elementary, Principal Green, McKinley Elementary, Principal Vincent, and Eisenhower Elementary, Principal Martin. And just some of the common thoughts is I thoroughly enjoyed meeting with all the principals and learned a lot, got a feel for the buildings. Obviously, our elementaries are at capacity with 6th grade in the buildings. I think there's going to need to be some more support and some more creativity as far as handling some of the crowded classrooms. I was in a music room at Garfield where it was, I'm guessing the room was about 14 by 30 with 28 students in there. So it's pretty tight. I think everyone was in agreement that it's good that the 6th grade are in the elementary, but we're going to have to support that and help with some of the class size. Everyone was pretty positive about the rollout of CRP. Some of the questions that come up is once you've exhausted everything concerning CRVP, for example, violent offenders, what is the next step? So I think that is maybe one question. Also, I'd like to find out more information about the Reconnect program. All the principals were unanimous in just praising the staff and everything that they've done and gone through this past year. Another comment that was just universal for everyone was that there's been such a good response from the operations team when there's a problem in the building. The operations team is there quickly and getting on any issue that might occur. And this winter was a bad year for roof leaks. There's a lot of buildings that have roof leaks. As far as I would question the principals about their thoughts on the new administrative rollout. For the most part, they're positive, but they feel they're kind of in the dark and just have a lot of questions. And so hoping to get more information on that. So again, I thoroughly enjoyed meeting with the principals and getting a feel for the buildings. My other hope is that we will get going quickly on a long-range plan for our buildings. I think we've talked about it for a while now, but I think we need to push forward and get started as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Passion. Are there any other board reports? Director Klein-Jerome.
And maybe Linda, I just missed this one, but also longtime principal in the district, Jim Dexter, passed away. He had been a principal, I know, at Smart and at Fillmore, and I'm not sure other places, but just recently. I'm also serving on the Needs Assessment Committee, which is looking at gathering information and getting feedback from staff or parents, or depending on what the need is out there to gather that information. So I have just recently joined that committee.
Thank you, Director Klein-Jerome. The only thing I had to report on, Director Passion and Director Klein-Jerome and myself were at Brady Street Stadium for the naming of the track. It was really cool. Director Passion and I actually hung around to watch the meet, especially when they were doing the hurdles. So again, it was a great time. Mr. Dunsworth had a lot of former students and stuff there, and there was, for a rainy day, I mean, it was a pretty good turnout. So I'm glad we were able to be there for that. And with that being said, we will move on to communications and open forum. Open forum is a time for members of the community to give input at board meetings regarding school district issues or concerns. Individuals who want to speak should fill out an open forum request and give it to the board secretary prior to open forum. The open forum request form is now available in hard copy for in-person attendees or online for those who want to participate in open forum virtually. The link is located on the front page of the district website on the right-hand side. For those who want to participate virtually, the request must be emailed to Brenda T. at tbrin@davenportschools.org by 3 p.m. on the day of the board meeting. The board will not act on any issue presented during open forum if it was not published as an agenda item. The Iowa Open Meetings Law prohibits action on any issue that is not on the agenda. The president will set the amount of time allowed for individuals to speak during open forum. The board asks that no charges or complaints be made against individual employees of the district or community during open forum. Remarks that reflect negatively on the character or motives of any person will be called out of order. We have two open forum request forms. First up, and when I call your name, if you come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. First up, we will have Amanda Hoffman and then Cassandra Powell. And 2 minutes each.
Amanda Hoffman, 2228 Madison Street, Davenport, Iowa, 52804. To the board members of the Davenport Community School District, I am speaking to you on behalf of myself, my husband, and my daughter in regards to the denial of our daughter's open enrollment process. Our daughter started out at the Davenport Community School District at Children's Village West when she was in 3-year-old preschool and had an amazing experience with Miss Libby. Now she is at Adams for kindergarten, and we have had nothing but issues, and we would like to remove her. I have nothing but kind words and praise to say about her teacher, Miss Jeannie Morrow, but the administration in the district, it has been nothing but trouble. From those in food service to those working at Stepping Stones, all the way up to HR and TJ himself and his secretary. You see, my daughter was born with 3 autoimmune diseases, and one of those we didn't even know about until she was 2. One of the many side effects of the autoimmune diseases is celiac disease, which happens to be yet another autoimmune disease. If you are unaware, celiac disease is the disease where the consumption of gluten found in anything containing wheat and other items that contain dextrose or dextrin permanently damage your intestines. This has been verified by her team of 8 doctors at the STED at the University of Iowa Children's Hospital. She has had countless stays in the hospital and didn't have a normal childhood until she was almost 4. She has had multiple surgeries, a bone marrow biopsy, and a spinal tap, all before she was even 2 years old, and missed out on many things that most kids and parents take for granted. Why all of the backstory, you may ask? Because on more than one occasion, Adams Elementary has given my child gluten. It may not seem like a lot, it may seem trivial, but to a child and a mother who have been through hell and back, this is the one thing that we can control. The school never notified me when they gave her gluten, but called me only after she had gotten severely sick. When I asked them if she had eaten anything, I was informed that the food service people had given her cookies in the cafeteria for a birthday celebration. I was then informed that they were unaware that she was celiac at all and didn't have the correct paperwork in the cafeteria. Also, at the beginning of the year, we were informed that if I wanted my child to eat a gluten-free snack for Stepping Stones, I would have to provide one for her, even though the school district provided snacks for the rest of the students. I was contacted one time by Miss Jeannie on her personal cell phone to my personal cell phone because a food service worker had given my daughter a lunch in the lunch line, and she had begun eating it in the hallway. Miss Jeannie quickly ran to her and immediately stopped my daughter and told her she could not eat any of the lunch and could only have the milk, and told her that she could only eat the lunches that mommy packed her. My question to you is, would this be happening if my daughter's allergy was visible to you and to the naked eye? If you could visibly see the permanent damage being done to her intestines after the first exposure, would this have continued? Would this continue or happened if my child was allergic to nuts and carried an EpiPen daily? Just because my daughter's allergy may seem less or to some people does not make it any less dangerous. I have contacted food service, the principal, HR of the school district, and TJ and his secretary about this and have not gotten a single response. I am done with the Davenport Community School District. I want my child out. You see, I work for the Bettendorf Community School District, where I want to be able to open enroll her. My husband too works for Bettendorf. We would both be closer to help keep her safe. And quite frankly, I do not feel as if Davenport Community Schools cares about the health, safety, and well-being of my child. Because if they did, I would have gotten a response back in September when all of this began and when I began calling and emailing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. Next up, we have Cassandra Powell.
Hello, my name is Cassandra Powell, 1306 West Garfield Street, Davenport, Iowa, 52804. To the school board, president, superintendent, and members of the board, I am here to seek an approval for my son's open enrollment to Bettendorf High School. My son has not attended Davenport schools since the 5th grade. My son left Davenport schools, attended All Saints Middle School, and he went from All Saints to Bettendorf High School, where he is currently a sophomore. If you look into your diversity plan, last year my son was denied open enrollment by the board due to the diversity plan. And in my appeal to the board, I identified some sections within the diversity plan, and they read, District's Diversity Plan Administrative Regulation 501-16A, Section 3, Guidelines for Approval or Denial, and it states, application for open enrollment out of the district will not be granted if it is found that the release of the pupil requesting to do so would adversely affect the district's diversity plan. Note, if a student were not already enrolled in the district, moves into the district and requests open enrollment out of the district or attend a private school, there is no evidence the student's release adversely affects the district's diversity plan. Another section of that same area, Regulation 501-16A, students whose family moved to Davenport Community School District who request continuous open enrollment in their previous district of residence will not be held to the criteria identified above regarding the diversity plan. Note, a student requesting open enrollment to remain enrolled in the prior attending district does not negatively affect the district's diversity plan. My son falls into both of the categories that I had identified last year, and I identified it again this year. My son has currently been attending Bettendorf High School. Last year, I was told virtual that they were going to get a legal review of the very regulation that I had identified. At the time when there was a vote that took place, there was no legal review that was even read. There was only one board member who stood in my son's favor and said he should be released because he is not a part of the district. Today, I am here again requesting the release of my son. He should not be held to the diversity plan because the diversity plan does not affect him, nor does Davenport Community School District benefit from my son because he was never a part of the numbers of the diversity plan, nor the funding that you will receive from state and federal. So I petition the board once again to please release my son for the rest of his high school years as a sophomore, junior, and senior to continue to attend Bettendorf School District. As another note, I am fully aware of the bill that sits with the House, has already passed the House, has already passed the Senate, and I know where it lies next. So I ask, the diversity plan is not the reason to hold my son back. Let him continue to thrive, soar, and excel at the district and the high school that he attends.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. There are no other open forum requests. We will move on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes,
I move the board accept the consent agenda as written.
is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Potts. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Director Hayes?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
Director Snyder?
Yes.
Director Poston?
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome?
Yes.
Director Beck?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. May I have a motion? Wait a minute. That's, yeah, approval of bills.
Number 8.
Yeah. May I have a motion on approval of bills?
Mr. President,
Director Snyder.
I move that the board approve the administration's recommendation for the adoption of bills from the bill listing period of 3/18/21 to 4/7/21, Whereas resolved, all claims presented to the board having been duly certified as correct by the secretary, reviewed by the administration and board members, and they are hereby audited and allowed as just claims and warrants drawn on the treasury for several amounts. Further resolved, the payment of claims and salaries be approved as presented for the periods of 3/18/21 to 4/7/21.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Hayes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Director Snyder?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
Director Beck?
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome?
Yes.
Director Poston?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. Superintendent report.
Today we want to present to you our graduation lineup. So Associate Superintendent Scott.
So we've been working with, is it that wireless tech Slayer now? Whatever the name is, the mark. We've been working with them. We've actually, prior to last year, we were going to extend the time between. So it'd actually be a longer day for you because of the traffic and any number of things that are happening over there. So we had extended the time. Now, actually, due to COVID, actually, there's another extension. So you'll see the times are, I think, 10, 1:30, and 4:30 there. And actually, that we're trying that. There, in the conversations with the event center, they have a little bit of concern about the 1:30 to 4:30, but they're willing to try it for this year. So you may see that extended even a little bit more in the future. It's really about parking, families feeling like they have plenty of time to take pictures and not have to be rushed out of the arena or things like that, and to be able to enjoy the experience. But I know it will make a longer day for the board and a few other key individuals, so we'll be there for most of the day. But if for some reason anything changes, I think at this point they're working with other districts. A few of our associate principals have been talking to them. If we were ever informed due to any kind of statistical data on COVID or anything like that, that was going to change. We are working with the high schools on what that would look like potentially at their own buildings in smaller groups. But I only say that just to say we are having the discussion just in case we have a backup. Our total plan is to be able to go here and attend the event on this day and be successful and have a number, we may have to have a certain amount of tickets. And I don't mean 2 or 3, but we may have to have a certain amount of tickets, no different than we did earlier in the year. But I would think it would be a substantial enough for most families to be able to get the main people at the event to experience it. So if you have any questions about the actual event or anything else that would come up, yep.
Director Beck.
Given that we may have to limit the number of people attending, are there plans to simulcast the graduation for families whose children, people whose families can't all fit?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that. I'll get back to you on that. I know that we have videotaped it before, so there have been copies. But as far as streaming it out of their arena, I'm not sure what rules they have around that. But I definitely will get you an answer on that. Okay. I believe that they're looking around 8 tickets at this point, so it's a considerable amount. But again, I think it determines a little bit on the enrollment. Like it could be a little bit of a difference. Northside graduating class is smaller. There's more seats available, so maybe they're going to get 9, whereas one group may get 7. But again, it's a pretty big arena. We've never had the upstairs. Well, the upstairs has been open, but there's probably been 50 people that have sat in the upper deck with the spacing. So I believe that we'll be able to get comfortably the amount of people that we've had in there, and so we won't be turning people away. But I definitely will check on that.
Okay. And then for the students, we have enough space to spread them out?
Yes, they definitely have said that on the floor, that they're going to be able to spread them out. We've had a lot of room in the back of when you've been there, you've seen that. So we're going to be able to spread them out, the rows farther apart. There won't be 15 across, so we're making some adjustments just on how we're doing our practice rehearsals. But definitely there's going to be plenty of room on the floor. They are limited in the amount of staff on the stage. You'll see a little bit difference on the amount of, because we've had a lot of people up on the stage with the board members, and so they're going to limit that a little bit. The stage is a lot bigger. If you remember behind us, there's always plenty of room, but they still are just going to limit the amount of people up there. And they're working with their, when I was in that role as an associate principal, that was a key role for me. And so we're working directly with that assistant principal of each high school.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just go ahead and
Director
start mine.
Klein-Jerome.
Thank you. When I graduated, we were at Palmer. We were only allowed 2 tickets, so 8 to 9 seems like a lot. So I'm glad to hear that.
And no air conditioning in there either at Palmer, remember, because it was pretty hot those days.
And a sweaty. Please, people, wear your masks so our numbers don't go up, so this doesn't get canceled. This is an important event for seniors, and I'm excited as a board member. It'll be my first graduation to attend as well, so I hope everything goes well because I was excited to see these dates actually put out there.
Yeah, it is. It's a great day for families.
Any other questions? I'm excited. At least we get to do something this year. And it's the Tax Slayer Center. I always call it the Mark, but anything else on your superintendent report?
Foods.
All right. Any committee reports? Director Beck.
Just the policy committees moving right along with policies. We are into the 500 series, which a lot of those are related to student behavior, student conduct, and things like that. And so we are working closely with the administration to make sure that all the legal changes that have happened and the philosophy of the district and everything is incorporated. So that's going to take a little bit of time.
Thank you, Director Beck. Is there a finance committee update or LZAC or anything?
We'll be meeting next Wednesday again.
Okay, thank you. Director Snyder.
LZAC is meeting tomorrow night.
Convenient. So you'll have a report at the next regular meeting. I got you. Perfect. All right, so we're done with committee reports. Before we move on to items requiring action, I'm going to call for a 5-minute break. All right, everybody's back. We will move on to items requiring action. May I have a motion on 11.01?
Mr. President,
Director Snyder.
I move that the board approve the administration's recommendation to uphold the superintendent's decision to deny open enrollment between districts based on the district's diversity plan for the following students who have appealed. You want me to read them?
I think, yeah.
Yes.
Administration recommends the board uphold the superintendent's decision to deny open enrollment between districts based on the district's diversity plan for the following students who have appealed. And the students' names are Bryce Anderson, Britta Burns, Victoria Geist, Anna Heating, Becca Heating, Peyton Hoffman, Benjamin Noah, Vedant Palutla, Mita Palutla, John Powell, Theron Priester, Owen Wilmerskitch, and Tegan Wilmerskirch.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Hayes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Director Snyder.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Klein-Jerome.
Yes.
Director Poston.
Yes.
Director Potts.
Yes.
Director Beck.
I need to abstain because I know one of the families.
Thank you. My vote is yes. Motion carries. May I have a motion on 11.02 budget amendment?
Mr. President,
Director Beck.
the administration recommends the board amend the 2020-2021 certified budget in the following areas for the following amounts. Instruction, $127,918,694. Total support services, $70,549,746. Non-instructional programs, $8,190,166. And total other expenditures, $22,998,402.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Poston. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Director Beck.
Just to clarify, for people who may not have been at our discussion, a lot of this has to do with data entry and then additional COVID funds. And so that's why things are being amended.
Correct. Thank you.
Did you have anything you wanted to add, Superintendent?
No, that's
Okay.
a good announcement for those that haven't been paying attention to the previous, or tuned into the previous board minutes.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Director Beck?
Yes.
Director Poston?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
Director Snyder?
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. May I have a motion on item 11.03?
Mr. President,
Director Poston?
administration recommends the board adopt and certify the budget and tax levy rate for the 2021-22 fiscal year as published and presented. The proposed property tax levy rate per 1,000 taxable valuation will be 15.29549, and resources and requirements are estimated at $303,743,880. Administration recommends the following resolution for the fiscal year 2022 budget guarantee. Resolved that the Board of Directors of Davenport Community School District will levy property taxes for the fiscal year 2021-2022 for the regular program budget adjustment as allowed under Section 257.14 Code of Iowa.
Thank you, Director Poston. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Potts. Is there any discussion? Superintendent, you have anything you wanted to add?
Turn it over to Kevin. Kevin, if there's something that you'd like to go through right now.
Just briefly, the reason for that second part of that resolution is the Department of Management requires us to recognize when you're in a budget guarantee situation. So that resolution is taken directly from the Department of Management.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Director Poston?
Yes.
Director Potts?
Yes.
Director Snyder?
Yes.
Director Beck?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome?
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. May I have a motion on item 11.04?
Mr. President,
Director Beck?
I move that that the board adopt or move to approve the administration recommendation that we approve the SBRC request for modified supplemental assistance in the amount of $550,643 and exhibits A, B, C, and D1 through D5 as provided. The district has used general fund dollars to complete asbestos abatement in fiscal years 2016 to 2020. This request is for modified supplemental assistance, MSA, which will increase our spending authority only. This does not increase revenue, expenditures, or our tax levy.
Director Beck, could you clarify that dollar amount again?
I'm sorry. $1,550,643.
That sounds better.
Sorry.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Hayes. Is there any discussion? Director Beck?
In case anybody missed this in our last meeting, basically this is shifting spending authority to where it should be, if it's my understanding is correct.
Yes, go ahead, Kevin.
That's exactly correct. Everything in that motion is what the SBRC is looking for. This has been, a draft of this went through the Department of Ed, and they suggested some edits, and that's why the letter has changed a little bit. It has the 6 elements that they require in the cover letter, and you'll notice that the updated projects are listed in fiscal year order.
Any other discussion? I have one question. Where does this money go back to? It doesn't go into our general fund, correct?
It's not money coming back. It's just replenishing our spending authority only.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Director Beck.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Yes.
Director Klein Jerome.
Yes.
Director Poston.
Yes.
Director Potts.
Yes.
Director Snyder.
Yes.
My vote is yes. Motion carries. And then we will move on to discussion items. Mr. Superintendent, I will turn it over to you.
So I'll invite up our people helping lead our discussion today. We have Lieutenant Smith, Sarah Ott from the city, and Jake Klipsch, our Director of Learning Supports for right now. You guys can come up and have a seat here. Today we were going to discuss the MOU that many of our city leaders and community members have been giving input on. As a reminder, the Davenport Community Schools is committed to having SROs in the school district. So the people that are here with us today have been leading some efforts in drafting what I would consider a very collaborative MOU. In the time frame that we've been working on this, a lot of input's been sought after. But I know, President Goza, that you have quite a bit of background information on that I would request that you would share. But before we do, I would like to lay the format out for our discussion today. So all of you have had an opportunity to review the MOU. We're going to have questions and discuss those today. And we have our I would consider our panel of experts here to kind of give us a brief discussion of what the MOU is. And then what we'll do is we'll enter into a question and answering session after that, which will allow us to move forward, get feedback, and then vote at our next regular board meeting. But with that being said, I know President Goza has been through this from the beginning. So and I believe Mr. Potts was a part of some of those conversations early on too. So I would ask that you would kind of give us some background information of how we arrived at where we are today.
Okay. Just for clarity purposes, we have already voted on the contracts for the SROs. We've already done that. This is only about the MOU between us and the city to critique the SRO program to make sure there's guidelines and things in that. Myself and Vice President Hayes have met with some community groups on some things. I know when former President Potts was on, we met with some groups as well. So we've been working at getting this MOU between our two entities done for a while. I think we're making some great headway. And the one thing I want to reiterate, we've met with the NAACP, LULAC, and no matter what, we're not all going to agree 100% of the time. It's just never going to happen. Anybody who's married can tell you that things don't happen 100% of the time. You don't always agree. It is what it is. But finding that common ground to work forward to improve the program is what we're trying to do. So I think I gave enough background on that. Director Potts, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
No, I would say that we previously, you and I had extensive meetings with the city and discussing this. We had meetings, as I said, we had that extremely large group meeting several months ago. We met individually with people. There's been a lot of input, but as you pointed out, the bottom line is we're having SROs. And the MOU is simply the framework under which we're going to operate our SROs.
Thank you. Vice President Hayes, you want to add anything?
I think between the two of you, you pretty well covered it.
All right. I will turn it back over to you, Superintendent.
So with that being said, let's go through just a brief presentation of the MOU, because I know that all of our board members haven't had an opportunity to see it. So let's highlight some portions of the MOU, and then that way we can begin our discussion about about the MOU. So, Sarah, it looks like everyone's pointing to Sarah. So, Sarah, thank you for taking the lead here in this presentation, as I know both of these gentlemen will be more than willing to jump in.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
So thank you, TJ, for that introduction. My name is Sarah Ott. I am the Chief Strategy Officer for the City of Davenport, and I've been working with the task force on the creation of this MOU. As Superintendent Schneckloth and Director Gosa stated, the creation of this MOU was really drawn out after the approval of the funding agreements that both you and the Davenport City Council approved in August 2020. So at that point, the City Council really requested that a task force get together to look at the creation of an MOU to solidify the expectations, roles, and responsibilities of the SROs within our schools. And so that was at that point, Mayor Mattson worked with then Director Potts to create this task force, has representation from school board members, from city council members, the superintendent, Dr. Klipsch, our city administrator, myself, Chief Sikorsky, and Lieutenant Smith, along with representatives from LULAC and NAACP, sat on that task force. And there was really, it has been a very fruitful exercise for that task force to go through and discuss what the purpose of this program is, which Lieutenant Smith will get to in a little bit. But through that discussion, there were many drafts of the MOU that were created and then shared with other partners and stakeholders. We received feedback. We've redrafted the MOU. What you have in front of you is the fruit of many months of hard work of this task force. And we believe that it lays out a good framework for this program moving forward. It helps create clarity around roles and responsibilities for the SROs that are in the schools, and hopefully gives us a guiding path forward for the program. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Smith, who's going to talk a little bit more about what is in the actual MOU.
All right, thank you, Sarah. I'm Lieutenant Smith. I am the School Resource Officer Unit Commander, so I'm in charge of the SROs at the Police Department. And there's a couple of areas that I just kind of want to highlight in the MOU. And the first one is the roles and responsibilities of the School Resource Officer. And that's really outlined in number 6 and all the bullet points that follow that. So as you read through that outline, you should see kind of an overarching theme of the 3 principles of school resource officers, right? And that is, we get that from NASRO. NASRO is the National Association of School Resource Officers. It is the standard that's used throughout the country. And those 3 principles are safety, education, and mentorship. So I think it's helpful to look at your school resource officers as community policing officers. That's what they are. We're sending them out to many communities within one larger community. And they collaborate and they partner with our schools to solve problems, to prevent crime, to educate our kids. And that's what they are. They're community police officers. They're specially trained. And these are unique officers that ask to be in the schools. They seek out this assignment. So we're not just picking police officers out of, off of the force. These individuals are coming to us seeking employment in the schools. They go through a rigorous interview process, which the district takes part in. And they're selected based on their performance, their past performance, their ability to get along with students, their decision-making, and having the right demeanor, right? We want to have the right school resource officer in the school. So hopefully, as you read through number 6 in the bullet points there, you get that feeling that those are the 3 principles, safety, education, and mentorship. And that's the overarching theme of the whole MOU. How we evaluate it, how we're going to annually evaluate it, what we're asking the students in the surveys to tell us whether we're seeing those 3 fruits of this labor here. So the other area that I would like to touch upon too is some of the data collection. One thing that we heard from the community is how are we going to determine whether this MOU is effective, whether it's actually doing what we're asking it to do. So one thing that came up in the MOU was this, to be transparent with our statistics. How many calls for service are we handling inside the schools from our SROs? How many charges? The demographics of those charges. How many times are we in the classroom? How many times are we meeting with the students? How many times are we diverting kids to the diversion program or partaking in restorative justice? All of those things. So as part of this MOU, we're going to be required to share monthly data and statistics that'll be posted on both the district's website and the city's website, so that we're transparent about what's going on in the schools. And hopefully this monthly tracking will give us the ability to, if problems arise, we're going to be able to make quick left and right turns to identify and adjust accordingly to make sure that we're giving the best service that we can to the students. So those are the two big areas that I wanted to cover. I think
Actually,
Dr. Klipsch is going to talk a little bit more about the training.
One more thing I just want to add in. One of the things so you guys all had a joint work session with our city council and community members a month and a half ago, I believe. One of the things that has continually come up is the annual evaluation of the program. So you'll see that there has been language that has been adjusted in this MOU since we had that joint work session, specifically regarding annual evaluations and the time period regarding this MOU. So you will see that it is still a 10-year MOU, but it has an annual, what I'll call re-up clause in it, where you guys are affirming the MOU annually based on the annual review that will happen. And we recognize that the monthly data that Lieutenant Smith was talking about is going to be very important. That's going to be able to help inform those discussions and the program evaluation annually as you guys are considering the MOU annually to re-up that. I think that is something that we haven't had in place before, and that is something that's going to be a very powerful tool for you guys to make decisions. And so I'm really proud of the framework that we've put together, because not only do I think it's going to be transparent for our community, I think it's also going to be really valuable information for our elected bodies to consider as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to speak on kind of on the school side specifically, and how the city is working with our schools to meet our respective goals in our schools. And obviously laid out in the MOU, safety, education, and relationships are those three key points, which is the same thing we're working on in our schools as a whole, of a safe, engaged community of learners for all of our students. And one of the pieces that I'm excited about to be working together on is the training that we're going to be working with the city on, and that the trainings that we're giving to our teachers on some of these really important areas, adverse childhood experiences and toxic stress mitigation, suicide prevention, youth mental health first aid. These are all things that moving forward, our SROs will be a part of those pieces. They were involved in our building crisis response and violence prevention training in March. Recently, Lieutenant Smith and Sergeant Quick attended a community presentation on restorative justice practices, which we are really starting to dig into. As of today, when I checked our stats, 62 of our students since February have been engaged in a restorative mediation of some sort. And we're going to be continuing on in that route with them working in partnership with us to identify students and making those referrals that might be needed in that area. So there's a lot of things that I'm excited about with the training piece of this. And one piece that I wanted to make sure to hit on, and it's in here somewhere in the various documents that we have, is that our SROs, nowhere in their layout are they intended to be disciplinarians. And actually it's on the attachment A, the last sentence: addressing behavioral issues inside the classroom is the responsibilities of educators and staff. That is not the responsibilities of SROs. In no situation should a teacher be struggling with a student in class and see an SRO walk by the window and say, hey, I need you to come in here and help me with this. That is not their role. That we have other personnel that are there to help with that, and that the SRO is not intended to have that. I'm excited about the survey that, and actually Director Klein-Drum talked about the needs assessment survey, and I've been in discussion just this past week about working in collaboration with that needs assessment survey to have these questions in the same survey so that we're not overdoing it with our staff and our students, but pulling in some of their ideas and their take. And I tie it to what I just said previous, in that students will have an opportunity to say, well, I did have an experience with an SRO where he, came to my classroom for this or that. And if those types of comments, are in there indicating a negative experience because of something they shouldn't be, that's where we're going to be able to say, oh, actually, Jake thought that wasn't happening, but right here in the data it says it is. I'm hoping on it's more on the relationship side where students are reporting out, well, I had a positive relationship with an SRO when he helped me with this or he helped me with that. So I'm looking forward to having the students kind of speak their experience, and we hope to have some of the baseline information before the end of this school year with that survey piece of it. And that would be presented to you as the board, those results to review as well. That being said, questions?
Director Beck.
I have several. I apologize. I have a cold. I'm not contagious. It's been here for like a week. I've had all kinds of negative tests, but I apologize. First of all, I really appreciate the transparency in this. I think that's really important. And my first question is, what if we see a lot of disproportionality in those statistics? Are we prepared to figure out what to do next? Because that's kind of the last thing that, and that may be what we see. And maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised and we won't. But, sort of based on national trends, that seems to be an issue. And so do we have a plan in place to address that if it's...
So that's an excellent question. I'm very glad you asked it, because I think that is at the heart of everything that we're trying to do here. First of all, step one is to collect data accurately about what is going on inside of our buildings. So do we have positive interactions? Do we have classes being taught? All of those things. Because we know that if there are some disproportionate interactions with our SROs, then we know we need to beef those up. So then it begs the question, so what happens if we do notice that there are disproportionate interactions? Then we start by asking why. And we start drilling down, and we look at this as an entire system. Because as we know through current events that are happening in our country and in our city, that our SROs play a vital role in keeping our schools safe. And sometimes the neighborhood issues kind of want to come in, and our SROs give us plenty of information and things like that. So there's lots of positives that come along with that. But there's also those interactions that can be disproportionate. So if those things happen to us, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sit down and we're going to look at our data and we're going to ask why. And then we're going to begin to plan, we're going to begin to act, and we're going to begin to move. So if that becomes the case, as we can suspect, that's going to be our first step. We'll have the data. We'll begin to ask why. We'll begin to look at this as more of our system. And as we move forward, this might be a symptom of our system if this shows this disproportion, if our AP classes are disproportionate, if our concurrent enroll, our CTE programs are disproportionate, then we'll look at that data as a whole. And one of the things that we really want to make sure that we're not doing is throwing programs out, throwing things out because of that. Because what we need to do is we need to start asking why, and we need to start drilling down. Is it all? And so I'm very excited to see what these data points are. What these data points aren't is what's the threshold before we get rid of a program. And I would really caution us about that type of mentality. Setting up a survey to show negative results to get rid of something. I would caution us against that. I would look at this data as a spot of improvement, Because if we can make that, with the way you described that, Lieutenant Smith, that neighborhood officer, somebody that you can go to that is about safety, it's not about discipline, then that can be a very positive thing for our students as we move forward. And it can be a piece that kind of changes the narrative a little bit. Now, that's a heavy lift on our SROs and Lieutenant Smith and the people sitting around this table. But the step one is get accurate data. Look at what is going on inside. Ask why and put a plan in place and what can we do about it, and look at it as a larger system. If we have lots of students that are engaging in X, then maybe there's a resource that needs to be put in place. Maybe there's a restorative thing that needs to be put in place. That's the conversation that we need to have. If all along the way, then we are finding that the data showing an extremely negative thing that we can't come back from, that's another thing. But I anticipate that disproportionate data, if it comes out that way, we start by asking why. We look at a whole system. This is a program that's a part of a system, and we begin moving in the right direction.
One sec. And part of that, looking into it, you'll be relying on your youth leadership team as well to come back with things. You didn't really hit on that, but I wanted to.
Excellent point. Thanks for the reminder. Say, for example, we do get a student survey that comes back. As you've heard, we're establishing youth leadership teams. Well, can you just envision a focus group of asking why? And as you can see, we have wonderfully intelligent students that can really articulate the why behind something. And as we move forward, I think we'll have an even better product. Because I'll tell you, I've been nothing but impressed with Chief, Lieutenant Smith, Sarah, Jake, the commitment to, our board members and our community, that we've spoken that this is a program that we're going to move forward. Well, now let's listen to the community groups. Let's listen to our students. That was some feedback that President and Vice President went to a meeting recently and said, well, did you hear from the student? Great. That's great feedback. And so all along the way, we're trying to incorporate some of those things inside of this program because we're seeing it as a program. So thank you for reminding me about that.
That's what I'm here for, pal. Director Beck, you had another question.
Yes. I was happy to see, I went to the Department of Justice Community Policing page, and they literally have an article that says how to write a compelling MOU for your school resource officer program. And we ticked off pretty much all those boxes, which was wonderful. I did have one or two other questions. So I noticed in the statement, Dr. Klipsch, you did address my question about what types of training the SROs will get in terms of restorative justice and trauma-informed care and things like that. My one concern is that the way it's written now, it's item O in number 6, will attend DCSD training and professional development as requested by DCSD and approved by the Davenport Police Department. And I guess my concern is that this leaves a little bit of wiggle room for an SRO to miss out on some of that training. And I think it's really important, if we are looking at this as part of a cohesive whole, that every SRO get all of the same training that all of our district staff and teachers are getting, if not more, in terms of, the types of things that Dr. Klipsch mentioned. So I guess that would be my one question, is to make sure that there's not an opening for somebody to miss out on something like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let me take that.
Yep.
So I think that goes back to the language that we used in O, goes back to chain of command issues that we've had in the past that we tried to address in number 3.
Okay.
And part of the problem that we tried to clear up with that language was sometimes the officers, the police officers are still employees of the city of Davenport, right? So it's really tough to have two bosses.
Yeah.
So we have a building principal telling them to do one thing, and then their bosses at another building telling them to do something entirely different. So building principals and staff may not be, they don't know our general orders and union bylaws, and so they may be giving them commands that they can't do. So that, I think that bled over into some of that language, so that we could make sure that it was compliant with what the Davenport Police Department could do as well. We weren't trying to command over that, and I think we've been really cooperative about making sure that the SROs get to that training. So the language certainly doesn't scare me in that way. I'll do everything we can to make sure that we get those guys to that training, but that was the intent of the language.
Okay, and I didn't think it was trying to get out of anything. I just wanted to make sure that we make sure that these types of things are a priority for this program.
We share that concern with you too. That's why we want them at that training.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Okay, I think that was it. Oh, I have one small question on the survey. Should I go ahead? Okay, so the survey, and this is maybe just me, I noticed that the first 4 questions are like demographic information, drop-down lists or whatever. And then the next question 5 is very open-ended. And then all the rest of the questions, the next few are rate this and then give us, your explanation, right? And I guess in my experience, if I'm trying to answer a survey, I don't want an open-ended question first. I want some guidance and then an explanation. I just feel like people, sometimes if they don't have a lot of time, and of course we'd like them all to spend lots of time on this, but that's not realistic. They might just skip over that question, and I think that's kind of an important question. How would you describe the role of the uniformed police officer in your school? So I'm wondering if maybe adding, some options there so that a person can choose all that apply or something like that, and then an other, just so that even if they don't feel like they want to actually write anything out, we can still get some meaningful information out of that.
Yeah, my thought on that is I want it, and this survey will be a Google survey. It'll be electronic, and so it can be changed, at any time. It added questions and all that. With this initial kind of gathering of baseline information, the thinking is I'm very curious, just without prompting, what do you think the officer is there for? Because there might be answers in there that we didn't even wouldn't even been on a checkbox. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I saw that feedback from the initial response, and that's, I still kind of feel like, and I could change we could change the order of it so it's not like the first piece, but I really wanted to know just their unrestrained response without guiding them to saying, well, I guess I don't know, but I guess maybe I'll click this box, just kind of what their open responses would be.
Well, and that makes sense. And I would say then leave it because if that's sort of a really primary question, you want that at the beginning so they don't have survey fatigue when they fill out that open-ended question. So that makes sense. And I totally get it. And since it's a Google form, you can always change it later if it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And thank you very much for all of your hard work. And I, again, really appreciate the data collection part of this and the transparency. I think that's really important that, we're going to have some solid information about what our SROs do and how they interact with our students. And I think that's really important.
Can I jump in real quick? A clarifying question, because I know I actually talked about it, I believe, about youth leadership teams last time, and it got brought up again this time, as the training for that is coming out soon. And I just want to clarify, in case it comes up at a future board meeting, that our youth leadership teams is a student-driven team on the ideas and the challenges and the solutions coming from the student. And in this first training, we're going to be focusing, giving them a broad idea of school safety and school and engagement as in this general area, what is your big idea that you would like as a team to discuss? Our students might not say, I want to discuss SROs. It would be really amazing, it would feed into this conversation great, but I don't want to come back to a future meeting and then say, tell us about how the youth leadership teams have talked about SROs. It might happen, but next year we're kicking off student focus groups, which is actually more in line with what that could be, to say, we collect this data, whatever we find, then we could pull focus groups together. So I don't want to say that's not going to happen within this next few months of youth leadership teams. It could happen, but I want to be clear on that piece too, that coming back, if they say, tell us what the youth leadership team's proposals for SROs, Well, the kids are leading those. So we'll see what our kids, they might have some great ideas on a lot of different areas of engagement, which may or may not include SROs.
Any other questions? Kids did a great job explaining, I suppose. I do want to say I do like the way that the survey's written, because at first I did kind of think along the lines of Director Beck, but then if you give options, then you're leading a person somewhere, whereas if you leave it open-ended, they can put in their own narrative. I appreciate all of your time on this and sticking around so late to be a part of this conversation. Director Snyder.
I do have one question. In there, it talks about evaluations, that there'll be one formal evaluation per year, and then it's, I think, another basically informal evaluation from the way I understood it. One a year or even two a year seems like a very long time to go between evaluations, especially since we're kind of putting this program in place. We're going to have a learning curve. I would also assume, I guess let me ask the first question. What, aside from the informal and formal evaluations, what other type of evaluation type process will there be as we go?
Yep. So you are correct that the MOU does outline an annual evaluation process. I would say that is the minimum, not the maximum. So we have written that in there because prior to the creation of this MOU, there has never been a joint evaluation between the city and the school district on this program. I think it's something that's just always continually continued, but no one's ever really taken a look at that. So we have written in an annual evaluation, but I would look at that as the minimum of what we're going to do, especially with the creation and the adoption of an MOU and with the monthly statistics that our police department is now going to be compiling. I think that lends itself to more frequent communication, at least in the beginning, as we are getting new information and data that we've never had to look at before. And so I would expect that between the superintendent and with our city administrator, with our chief, with our board president and the mayor, those conversations probably informally will happen very frequently as we're looking at that data on a monthly basis in the continually, but at least in the beginning as we are looking at this data for the first time. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. My other question on the evaluations, is there already, we'll say, an evaluation type form that has been drafted, or is that something that is to be put together yet?
So that's what attachment A is. This is what will serve as the basis for the annual evaluation of the program. Again, focusing on safety, education, and mentorship. So you'll see under safety, there's 3 different things that they're going to take into account. They're going to take into account the student survey. They're going to take into account monthly statistics and the safety issue response. Under education, they're going to look at the classes that they're teaching, the monthly statistics, mentorship and relationships, again, the annual survey, and the monthly statistics. So this will outline what they are evaluating and discussing and how they will evaluate it. I wouldn't say it's a formal form or anything like that, but this is the information that will be taken into account by those who are doing the annual evaluation. And that's what attachment A is for.
Perfect. And that's kind of what I was alluding to, is that a lot of the things are going to be derived from our student surveys, from things that we find as, they complete the training and this program is officially, I'm not going to say started because we have had SROs, but the new SRO program, as we're discussing here, goes. So the actual evaluation process is still pretty much to be determined because it's after we gather the information then.
Yep. One of the other things I guess I will add in too, that Lieutenant Smith has started to do with your administrators is more frequent conversations between himself and the building administrators in which SROs are located. And I think that's also going to be a very important part of that, is that natural feedback loop that is happening between the building administrators and Lieutenant Smith and Sergeant Quick. So I think that will also be a very, and that's kind of outlined in the safety issue response portion under safety, but I think that feedback loop is also very important, and one that is, I would say, more recently formed. So that will also be very helpful in the process.
Thank you all for your work on this. I know it's been a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of planning, a lot of input, and in the end, we just want, you know, a program that is best for our students. And I appreciate all of your input.
Any other questions? We will be voting on this MOU on the 26th, which will be our next regular board meeting. So if you have any questions or any other information you need to be able to make your vote, feel free to ask now. Would be great. I believe the city's doing I don't know their timeline on it, but I'm sure Sarah can tell me.
Yep. So we will be considering this the second cycle in April. So our committee of the whole meeting where discussion will take place is Wednesday, the 21st, and then our city council will be voting on the item at their city council meeting on Wednesday, the 28th. So I believe you guys are voting on the 26th, and we will be voting on the 28th.
That is correct, the 26th for us. Any other questions? I can't see her. Direct it back.
Oh, it's like a grammar thing. And I don't know if anybody has the answer to this. Item 6K says initiate positive interactions and activities with students to ensure equality with all. Is that supposed to be equity? Or I don't know what the appropriate word is. But
Yes, we'll change that to equity.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That was it. See, not so bad.
I can't believe Dr. Clips didn't catch that.
You are a really good proofreader.
All right, with no other discussion, again, thank you for taking your time. Appreciate it. Again, this is the first time we've done something like this, so obviously there will have to be tweaks along the way, but it's a great baseline, and I do appreciate all the groups that gave us input that we were able to take back to the meetings and everything like that, because it's great to get the input, you know, to realize we all need to work for the common betterment of the program. So again, thank you all for your time, and we will move on. Do I have any board requests?
Thank you guys very much.
Any other board requests? This is it. Board request from Director Klein Jerome, date of request 4/12/2021, item requested, information request. Description of request, could we get a tab on our website that lists the arts and athletic events? I was just asking about this. Why are you requesting this information or agenda item? Be as specific as possible. It would be nice if there was one place to view where and when student activities are taking place. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Hayes. When would you like this information?
Oh, as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Of course.
Any other board requests? Any administrative reports?
Not at this time.
Board takeaways. I will start on the other end of the room with Director Potts.
They were supposed to give one thing, right? Just want to make sure that we don't run through the whole agenda. But to me, the student-built homes thing was the highlight of the meeting, because what those students learned from that process is that certain things have to come before the next thing, and that a finished product doesn't happen right away. And that's an important life skill that all successful adults have to acquire. Aside from the craft skill, it's that thinking skill, that you can't build a house if the foundation isn't there first. You can't put the wiring if there's no framing. You can't, and things have to happen in a certain order, and you have to depend on others to get stuff done.
Thank you, Director Potts. Director Snyder.
Yeah, mine too was the Student Build Home program. If you think Craig has been a part of 20 homes with an average of 15 to 16 students per year, that's 300 students that have seen that process from start to finish. That's pretty phenomenal. There are so many positions out there that all of the trades, they just can't find people to work in them. And, girls too. Some of the best craftsmen I've ever come across have been girls. Flooring installers, carpenters, mechanics. This program is just not for the boys. And you can make a very, very good living with your hands.
Thank you, Director Snyder. Director Hayes.
There were some great topics tonight, but one thing that I would like to address that was important was the SRO discussion. And for me, that was important because it is a very touchy issue for the community. And I want the community to be able to hear some of the responses that were going on with this particular meeting. And with this SRO program, it's not really meant to be a negative situation. It's certainly meant to be a positive situation. We all have a vested interest in the well-being of the students, and it is a work in progress. We have everything that you've seen tonight, but I'm sure along the way it will be tweaked or changed because it's not meant to cause any harm with the students, and we just have a vested interest in what goes on in the buildings, and we want to keep the students safe.
Thank you, Director Hayes. Director Beck.
I would say the Student Build Home project was the highlight for me. The students talking about the perseverance that they learned, the ability to not give up if you make a mistake is so important in life, and that's just a wonderful life skill that I think comes out of that. And then I'm also excited about the MOU project. I think it's important that we start collecting data, and so that makes me very happy.
Director Poston.
Well, for me, it would be also CTE and the Student Built Home, and not only the Student Built Home, but all the opportunities that are presented under CTE, I think is very important. I got to tour there at West, where the students are, not only doing woodworking or welding, all sorts of crafts there, and so I think that's important, and I think we need to get the word out more, that these opportunities are available.
Thank you, Director Poston. Director Klein-Jerome.
I also, the student-built home, I wish an opportunity like this would have been available when I was in school. Cooking and sewing were the only thing I could take. So I think that's a great opportunity, and that females are getting involved in this as well. But also my takeaway is I really appreciate the fact that we have had very good discussions on, like tonight, the budget issues and opportunities to ask our questions prior to a vote coming up. Very few of us had questions tonight because at the last meeting we had a very thorough discussion of why we're voting on it, and it explained to us, gave us the opportunity. So I think we're doing a really good job of having those discussions before a vote. And I'd like to not be the last one always when we do this. Keep that in mind.
Well, TJ and I still got to go, so.
You laughed.
Superintendent Schlackoff, did you have anything?
Yeah, I'll say something different because I agree with what everybody says to get my one thing. I want to come back to those career trees. I think they're going to be great conversation pieces for our school board members because they carry the roots of the tree as effort, attitude, all of those employability skills. And then you can find a spot where you can get in that tree, and then it shows you, okay, this is what an introductory level person in that tree does. And then what does it look like when you climb that tree, and what skills are necessary. But also the notion that when speaking with young students, what kind of lifestyle do you want to have in each layer of the tree? You can have discussions about the type of lifestyle that you can have. I'll never forget, I walked into a classroom where they were talking about how much do you make, and the social worker said, well, I make about $40,000, and one of the students said, a month? And so the kids, right. So sometimes students have no concept of dollars and cents. And this notion, and I said, well, tell me the lifestyle you have. And she said, well, I drive a Prius, I live in a condo, and I go on 2 vacations a year. And the kids are like, oh, I could do that. Mm-hmm. So this notion that starts with the conversation of the career tree. So that was kind of, other than the other beautiful things that you said, that was kind of one of the things that popped into my mind.
See, and I was going to go with the career tree because no one else said that, but you took that from me. No, I thought it's been great. I love when we get the students here to participate and give their input because, I mean, that you hear it right from the horse's mouth on what they're getting out of the program. So I think that's great. I do like the fact that we are getting our discussions in before we vote on things because I think it makes the meetings go a lot smoother. And I'll leave it at that, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.